Welcome to Tech Arena Data Insights. I'm Allison Klein, and because it's a Data Insights episode, it means that Janice Narowski from Solidigm is with me. Welcome to the program, Janice.
Thank you, Allison. It's great to be here. Looking forward to
So,
today's chat.
we're doing something wild on Data Insights today. We're actually interviewing an expert from Solidigm and going deep into data center and storage. Tell me about the topic that we're going to be covering today.
Yeah, today we have Director of Leadership Narrative, Mr. Scott Shadley, which I think a lot of folks in the industry know Scott. So welcome, Scott. And we're gonna deep dive, as you said, into how Solidigm's portfolio is really addressing some of the world's most biggest pressing challenges in AI. So
Welcome to the program, Scott.
Hi, Allison. It's great to be here. Thanks, Janice, for the nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you guys again, and looking forward to having a great conversation.
Now you've been on the program a bunch, and I don't want to ask you this, but I will. For those who are new listeners to episodes of yours, can you share a little bit about your role at Solidigm and how you collaborate with the data center solutions team at the company to shape product strategy?
Yeah, my role is, Janice said, is leadership narrative. Really, the concepts here are talking to customers and potential customers and even their IT folks about what it is that we need to do in the industry to make their solutions work better. At the end of the day, I help pitch the storage products that Solidigm makes, but there's a lot of things that go into what make that necessary. So the goal here is to have conversations. It's not about pitching slides. It's not about, buy this because it's the next big thing. It's really about having those conversations with folks to make sure we understand their needs and they understand the solutions available.
yeah. Well said, Scott. But additionally, from your vantage point, what are some of the most pressing storage challenges facing today's data centers? Especially as the demands around capacity and performance escalate.
It's an interesting one. Data centers have a third piece of that pie that's really very important to the conversation, and it's power. Because as everything gets faster and everything gets bigger, it starts to consume more power. And realistically, in the modern infrastructures, whether you're talking AI or just net enterprise, everything is just consuming more of everything. And it's due to the fact that we're just generating so much data. Think about the number of exabytes going to zettabytes, going to yottabytes, right? That we're generating as individuals, as part of what we do here in this podcast versus even what we're doing with all the AI engines that we're talking about. And it's figuring out the best way to map all of that into a cohesive architecture. We spend a lot of time in the industry talking about compute, memory, and storage as three unique architectures that combine in this von Neumann architecture. And we've really gotten past that. And it's now starting to look at how do we really do a better job of load balancing everything.
I've been following Solidigm's portfolio since the birth of SSDs and dating back to when you were another company. Your products have advanced in such amazing ways. How are you leveraging that entire product portfolio to help address the challenges you were just talking about, particularly through innovation of the core products and key partnerships?
It's an interesting one. Looking back at the history of this, right? Going all the way back to when SSDs first came to market, they had a very different role in the infrastructure than we do today. And a challenge is to make sure that you're looking at what's next in the way of that innovation. And you can only do that by talking to people about what they really need. Lots of buzz in the marketplace. There's been some recent events where people made all kinds of announcements about new products. But the thing that they were all lacking in those announcements is who's using them and why we made those products. It's no longer a marketplace for us to talk about, what's the next big thing or the next fastest thing. It's about what do customers really want from us and how do we make sure we architect those correctly. And the history of Solidigm, pre-Solidigm, day one, is just people focused on understanding what the product really needs to look like and how to architect it in such a way that it's consumed correctly and you're not wasting things. We live in a world now where wasting even a watt is a challenge, or wasting a terabyte is a challenge. And so that history of just customer collaboration, key partnerships, and then making sure that the products we build are the best they can possibly be as far as reliability and quality go.
So let's get into the real world of this then, Scott. Can you kind of walk us through an actual product deployment where you've seen, Solidigm SSDs have a measurable improvement not only in throughput and overall latency, but just overall workload efficiency?
That's the luxury of having the history that we do. There's lots of examples of that on our website, in our solutions briefs and things like that. We've partnered with so many different industries. It's not even just one. Like, you think about enterprise, and it's not a single little category. We've done solutions where we've helped with our little friends, the Hedgehog in London.
Hmm.
We've done solutions with very large organizations like Vast, and being able to make their architectures more resilient to what their software platform can provide people, and go all the way out to software defined only. And you have companies like Weka, where we've got some great relationships where our product innovating with their software combined together bring customers the net value they're looking for in ways that just other products don't.
I think that this is something that's really interesting about your story is that, Solidigm has a heritage in differentiation. And one of the areas is within firmware innovation. When you look at design and firmware, how does this help differentiate Solidigm drives in mission critical and high density environments?
When you look at that, you think about the complexity of a storage product. You can even look at a hard drive, right? Thousands of little mini mechanical parts and a whole bunch of screwdriver parts to put that thing together. You have equivalent like architectures in a solid state drive. It's a lot of components mounted to a board, but how do they interact? How do you make them compatible in such ways that you, again, aren't wasting aspects of the overall architecture? So from a platform perspective, the firmware is aggregated. It continues to grow and evolve. It's not something where it's net new every single time. We try to make sure the architecture layers upon layers without creating thousands of lines of code, right? It's improving it. It's reducing the lines of code, but not removing those. And you see in a lot of other solutions in the market, the controller changes or the memory changes or whatever the case may be. By keeping a consistent roadmap of products inside of those drives, your firmware stays complete and coherent, and your overall solution continues to rely on the what's made it so great in the previous version. So if I have product family A plus product family B because something else changed in the ecosystem, all the underlying architecture remains the same in a way that it's most agreeable to a customer's needs and easy of transition too from that perspective.
So with that, Scott, as trends like, edge computing, software-defined infrastructure, and even composable architectures take hold, which do you think will most influence future storage requirements?
That's a challenging one because the simple answer, of course, is yes. Edge computing, if we take that one for example, edge is a unique beast in its own right. There are 17 different ways you can have a 30-second pitch from an elevator of 17 people that call it their deployments an edge, and they don't look at all alike. But what they do look like is close to the data where they consume a lot of information and they need to disseminate it quickly. And so when you start getting out there, depending on the size of the infrastructure they've got, you need either a lot in a little spot where we have things like our E1S drives, or you need a lot in a big box, which is where you get our 122 terabyte drives. Both of those have an edge play, but they're unique in their value that they bring to that particular edge platform. And then as you get into other things like software defined, the hooks into the storage products from software is what drives SLAs. The memory is pretty well understood. If you run out of it, that's your problem, but you know exactly how memory is going to work. It's so well defined, but the storage products have the ability to be unique in their read write architectures, and you can partner with people to make sure software defined works really well with a given design implementation, like IU sizes or transfer sizes, things like that and whatnot. And when you get into composable, that one's the more interesting one because we always thought this concept of just putting little bits here and little bits there. But when you want to put a lot of something in one place, you need a nice big JBOD. Or you want to put a little bit of something in there, you need it directly attached. You need to have those unique form factors and technology designs to make them work better. So it's each of these are driving complementary yet divergent needs in the ecosystem, and being able to there's no one-stop shop, I guess is the best way to put it. You have to have a family of products to solve these problems.
Now, when you take a look at that product portfolio, and I think you just spoke really brilliantly of this, is, you know, it comes with a roadmap. And when you think about the roadmap development, you have to think about branch predicting where customers are going to go next. How are you evolving your roadmap to align with these shifts that we've been talking about in data center architectures and customer demands, to ensure that the storage media sitting as a foundation for all of this data pipeline actually operates exactly like what customers need?
That's always been, the crystal ball, right? If I had the right crystal ball, we wouldn't be talking. I'd be sitting on a beach with a pina colada or something. But the idea behind the roadmap is to not think about what's next. What's next is already too old for these real forward-looking conversations. You really have to have the people that understand the next. So we have experts on our team that have spent so much time understanding the AI pipeline that they're more of an AI expert than they are a storage expert, for a very good reason. We've got plenty of storage experts. We need people that understand the workloads and where they're going and what we need them to look like moving forward. So when you talk about a roadmap, the current products are amazing, and where we think they're going to go is great. But if we're not already thinking about next to next type of thing, and we're not even talking 5-year, we're talking 10-year roadmaps, you're never going to be able to design the products fast enough to keep up with the architectural requirements. So having a team that understand storage architectures as much as the devices in the media is very key to the success of the organization and our customers.
So with all your wisdom, Scott, and our evangelist here at Solidigm, for data center architects really looking to future-proof their environments, can you share a little bit more on how can early collaboration with Solidigm, drive better integration and kind of long-term performance?
This one's a fun one, and I'm probably going to make a few people mad about this one, especially our procurement friends, if you will. But CapEx is not the issue. I mean, everybody says I've got to spend as little as possible on CapEx, but CapEx is for today, just kind of like I was talking about the roadmap. It's really about the long-term operational capabilities of the solution. Don't design something for today, design something for tomorrow, because by the time it's implemented, it's already going to be out of date. And when you're looking at the system, it's not about me, quote unquote, Solidigm, right? The storage product that you have to pay attention to. There's so many other pieces of that architecture that we partner with. Think of networking, think of the memory guys, all these things that we touch and we interact with are key implementers for these data center architects to understand that the bottleneck is always going to be somewhere. And our goal is to make sure we're not it, but we'll help you understand how to avoid the bottleneck in other parts of the ecosystem. We're not just here to sell you this drive or that drive. We're here to make sure your architecture works the way you need it to work.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. One final question for you. I know that you are very active on LinkedIn. Where can folks engage with you and then continue the dialogue with the entire Solidigm team?
Yeah, solidigm.com is pretty easy. A lot of people wonder how do you actually pronounce it. I get all kinds of fun about that, but it's solid, IGM, at solidigm.com. We also have an AI specific site, so /AI. I like to play around on all of the social stuff from time to time on SM Shadley. You can find me there on Blue Sky, our fun former Twitter X platform, even LinkedIn, using that. And there's lots of great information. I'm not the only one here that can talk to some of this amazing information. So feel free to reach out and we'll make sure the right person calls you back.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And thanks, Janice, for bringing us such a great episode. This has been a real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. Thank you, Scott. Same.
My pleasure.